The vision of the Kootenay Co-op is thriving communities with resilient food systems where all people have access to affordable food that is healthy for our bodies, our communities, and the earth. So that's why I'm here tonight, to talk about how we can make our food more sustainable. If you're here tonight, it's likely that you're already environmentally conscious, or at least you're interested in doing better for the planet. You may already have strong opinions on how to make a difference, or you might be bursting with questions on what you can do to make the biggest impact. The Kootenay Co-op can help you along this journey, but I'm here to remind you that it is complicated. Even this image, for instance, we can't save the planet. The Earth itself is resilient. It's the life on this planet that sustains us humans that we're trying to protect. So what you do to make a difference for our global home depends on many factors, but most notably on your own values. So take a moment to think about what your major concerns are. It's up to each of us to decide how we want to spend our time, our money, our energy, our attention. Is climate change your biggest concern, or is it the hot topic of zero waste living? Do you care about food sustainability, local food sovereignty, regional food security? Maybe it's this potential for a global freshwater shortage that's top of mind for you. Or it's our non-human family of at-risk species whom you feel most connected to. So we're here at the Prestige tonight around the theme of zero waste. Generally, that term refers to plastics and packaging, and we have a lot of work to do in this regard, but many of us might argue that the more pressing issue is climate change. So this presentation is going to address both of those issues. And if you'd like to talk about some of those other things I mentioned, like food sovereignty, or water, or biodiversity, please feel free to come talk to me and David at the co-op table later. So when we aim to reduce waste, our goal is to stop wasting energy as well as garbage. So I'm going to talk about lowering the GHG intensity of your diet, and as I'm here representing the Kootenay Co-op, I'll also touch on a few of the products that we sell to help you meet your waste reduction goals. Eating low carbon is something that I've thought a lot about. And at first, I focused my efforts on eating locally because transportation is the most visible representation of greenhouse gas emissions in the foods that I eat. One estimate by Bon Appetit Management Company states that our food system as a whole is responsible for a full third of our greenhouse gas emissions. A third of greenhouse gas emissions are caused by our food system. Some of that is due to food miles, but it's not as much as you might think. So eating locally is a huge step in the right direction, especially with the added benefits of supporting the local economy, more nutritionally dense food, fresher food, and stronger community relationships. But according to environmental science and technology, the transportation of food only accounts for 11% of food-related GHGs, while production contributes 83%. 83%. So the foods you choose to eat, how you choose to cook them, and the practices of the producers make a much bigger impact on your food footprint. So eating low carbon is something that I encourage you all to think more about. I've provided a list here to direct that thinking. Number one, eating vegetarian just one day a week can reduce emissions equivalent to cutting 1,160 miles of driving in a year. Even replacing red meat and dairy with chicken, fish, and eggs is equivalent to cutting 760 miles worth of emissions annually. Number two, keeping energy usage in mind in the kitchen can also make a big difference. Unplug your appliances when they're not in use. Use a toaster oven instead of the oven whenever possible. Only boil as much kettle water as you need. Decide what you want from the fridge before you open the door, and keep it well organized so that you know where to find what you're looking for. And there's a ton of great tips in that book, Big Green Cookbook, which is available at the library if you're interested in more. Number three, eating in season means your produce needs less time in transportation and refrigeration. Number four, eating an apple instead of an apple pie requires much less energy. Number five, eating organic is an investment in your health and the health of the planet. not to mention the health of farm workers and the humane treatment of livestock. Organic farms rotate crops, protect water sources, and do not use conventional chemical implements or genetically modified crops. 6, eating as locally as possible makes a huge difference. The Kootenay Co-op highlights products produced within 160 kilometers or 100 miles as true local, whereas other organizations that call something local, it only has to be within the province or within 50 kilometers of the border. So legally they can call something that was grown 50 kilometers over the northern border as local. Practicing the 4R, or the 5 R's now will help you reduce your carbon footprint. You probably remember there used to only be 3 of them, reduce, reuse, recycle, but we've added refuse and repurpose. Refuse is really important. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Lastly, be realistic. Avoid green burnout. Do the best that you can and be patient with yourself. At the Kootenay Co-op, we recognize our institutional responsibility to reduce waste, and we're doing a lot, but we know that there's room for improvement. We source a lot of products that allow our members to shop zero waste, but it's also very unlikely that those products arrive to our store in a zero waste fashion. Bananas, for instance, come wrapped in plastic, even though the customers never see it. As a grocery store, we do have the power to put pressure on our suppliers to deliver more sustainably. That's why we accept local produce in reusable bins and boxes, and we store those containers until the farmers are ready to make their next delivery. And that's why we support local milk like Kootenay Meadows and Creston, and juice like Stoke Juice of Kimberley, and accept their reusable bottles back for deposit. We're in the process of conducting a store-wide waste audit, considering department by department what we're doing well and what we can improve on. So check back with us for the results of that audit. As shoppers or consumers, or as I like to call us, food citizens, we can all reduce the waste going into our regional landfills and recycling plants by being mindful of the products we put in our basket. There's some packaging that's unavoidable, so get creative. How many times can you reuse a piece of packaging, and in how many ways? If you create a shopping list at home, you can come to the store prepared with all the appropriately sized reusable bags and containers that you might want for bulk items. And think outside the box when shopping bulk at the Kootenay Co-op. Some items that you might not realize you can shop bulk at the co-op are tofu, sprouts, salad greens, soup, hot bar items, sandwiches and wraps, cakes and macaroons, meat and fish. You can ask at the butcher counter for that. Shampoo, dish soap, laundry soap, essential oils. We have toothpaste, yes, toothpaste tablets from Nelson Naturals. So it's local, and you can bring in your old Nelson Naturals jars and fill that up. We do feta cheese, seaweed, dry pasta, sesame oil, soy sauce, brags, olive oil, all the beautiful things. Did I say veganase? That's made me make the switch from mayonnaise to veganase. Another one that people don't often think of is vanilla extract. We have that at the jelly counter. And of course, these items are in addition to the more traditional bulk items like apples and nuts and olives and soup mixes. One tip that I have found really helpful is to bring a jar funnel, a canning funnel, for the bulk department if jars are your reusable container of choice. Another way to reduce waste is to reduce food waste. More than 21% of avoidable food waste in Canada happens in people's homes. Consider shopping more often, buying smaller quantities of perishables to make sure that you can use it all up. And buying in-season fruits and vegetables and preserving them also helps you save money. Here are some ideas of things to reuse, repurpose, reduce. Some of them are quite obvious, and some of them not so much. So you obviously reuse your jars, but maybe you don't reuse your protein powder containers if you use protein powder. That's something that I have found really helpful to keep old, big bulk items in, like rice. Yogurt tubs often come in handy. We have things like maple syrup in bulk at the co-op as well. Remember to save your paper bags and bring them back for mushrooms and things like that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about grocery bags and the whole paper, plastic, cotton option as well. A couple couple more slides here. So when considering products to help you achieve zero waste, it's important to keep two things in mind. And again, this is going to come back to your personal values. Think about embodied energy. So embodied energy is the sum of all the energy required to produce a product. And then on the other side, think about your health. So one example to stimulate this internal struggle is that you would have to use an organic cotton grocery bag 149 times for it to have the same impact as a plastic bag. That same organic cotton bag would require 20,000 reuses to have the same cumulative environmental impact as a plastic bag. So thinking about the water usage and energy uses it takes to create a plastic bag is 20,000 times less than to create this organic cotton bag. So thinking about reusing those plastic bags and making sure that if you do have one of these cotton bags, reuse it until, don't go buy another reusable bag because you forgot yours. Take that plastic bag, don't feel bad about it, and then bring it the next time. So that's where we're saying refuse is the most important R if you're trying to be zero waste. Many people are moving away from plastics altogether, considering the impact on fertility rates and internal health, as well as on the planet. So just choose your products wisely, and people at the Kootenay Co-op are very educated in this regard. Please feel free to ask us questions. And last one, just wanted to show you a map of our True Local zone. So anything labeled True Local comes from this area. We have some of the True Local products available tonight. Thank you so much.